All right, welcome back to the Reality Show Life Coach Podcast. Today we're going to talk about season 20, episode 6 of The Bachelorette. And with me today, I have special guest Cristina Gonzalez. Cristina, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself?
Hello, I am Cristina Gonzalez, and I call myself the Curvy Girl Dating Coach. I am a dating coach for curvy women who are ready to regain their self worth and set their own standards while dating confidently. And I just help women believe that they're worthy of love no matter what their size
Oh, and I love having dating coaches on here because
is.
obviously the topic lends to it. But what is your experience watching The Bachelorette? Where are you
I've
coming from today?
I've never been a Bachelorette fan or a Bachelor fan. I've always been like, I'm not going to watch it until they have plus size Bachelorette.
I'm, I'm like here for that for sure.
Right. And yeah, but I embraced it this season and I've really been enjoying just like all the drama. And so now, yeah, I'm interested in watching other seasons to compare it because I've kind of looked at some things online and some people like in the chat groups and stuff, and they're like, this is the group of the hottest men and the smartest men of the seasons. And I was like, okay, well, let me go look.
I know Paige from last week messaged me and she's like, "So Aaron B, I was like,
Yeah,
yeah,
he's from Houston. I'm here, or he's in
hey,
Houston.
so awesome."
That's
Yeah,
funny.
I would agree with you and the people online. I was just like, and solid men. Like there were a few that was like Charity kind of kicked to the curb pretty quickly. Some not as quickly as others, but most of the everybody like under 25 got sent home pretty quickly. So I
Yeah.
think any of the four today. But, so today is wild that we're already at hometowns. I know you're new to watching the show, but this is very early. Even though the
Okay.
show runs quickly, this is early.
Okay.
So if it seems like they're making a lot of comments on, it seems really quick, like they're not wrong. It's pretty quick this time around. It's at least 1 to 2 weeks sooner than they usually hit this point.
Yeah, I was
Um,
curious because I thought like with 20 guys starting, I thought it was going to be 21 episodes or something, and I had no idea that she would knock out like multiple people in one episode. I thought it would just be one person goes every time. But so
yeah.
that was interesting.
No, it was like she slashed them right out. I mean, obviously the producers had a big say in that, but yeah, no, I mean we're already at hometowns. Everybody is falling in love with Charity. Charity is saying that she's falling in love with all of them, which is also actually kind of rare at this point too, because usually the lead has like one or two, but it seemed like Charity had genuine feelings for all four of them. Like, what did you think?
Yeah, I agree. Like I think she has like interest in different ways. I think they all offer her something, like some kind of a spark that that she wants. And so far I'm not sure she has it like and captured it in like one whole person. But yeah, so I can see like I was kind of skeptical about the whole thing. I'm like, how can you fall in love with somebody in like 6 weeks? This is ridiculous, you know? And I can see like I mean, obviously they spend more than an hour together, like a week. So I can see where they can really like create emotions and like sparks and have like you have like no time to like mess around. Like you have to like be business. Like, let's do this. Tell me everything about
Let's
you,
go.
you know?
Totally. I know. I mean, I think there's a way in which I wrap my head around this is like um when my husband and I didn't really like this is gonna sound wild, but we didn't live apart while dating. Like I was solo traveling and I just like I had my RV, I just pulled it up on his lawn and then I was like, well, if it works out, it works out. If it doesn't, I'll just move
Me
on.
too. Yeah.
And it worked out. So it's like weird to like to me, I'm just like, oh yeah, 6 weeks, that's generous. But I'm coming from a weird dating
That's
place, I guess,
awesome.
coming into this. Yeah.
Very cool.
Um, so we get to Aaron B's hometown first, Houston, which I think you just said is
Yeah,
where you
I'm
are.
here.
So I don't think we saw much of Houston in this, but we did see. I I don't think they use any of their actual homes in these. I think they're Airbnb homes that they dress them
Oh,
up.
okay.
But
Interesting.
but you do see some really lovely family bonding in here. So lots of tears from Aaron's family members, and Charity seems to fit in just so well with his family.
Yes, I think they really loved her and just, his. I love the like the conversation that he had with his dad, and
Mhm.
I don't know. It was very sweet and very touching, and I really liked how he had a lot of like family bonding. Like it didn't sound like he would ever bring girls home, be like, "Here's my new girlfriend. Here's my new girlfriend." So bringing her home was like extra special, and I can totally relate to that because that was kind of my experience. Like in the 10 years of being single, I was like, you have to deserve to go meet my family. Like, we're not there yet, you know? So I can definitely relate to how special that was.
Yeah. Yeah, I was surprised when he said 10 years, but I was like, "Okay, this is serious."
Yeah. Just like me, it was 10 years.
10 years, amazing. Yeah, so they had like a positive experience. We move on from there to Joey's family in Collegeville, Pennsylvania. Joey, of course, takes her out to play tennis. And
Mhm.
very quickly, Joey's Uncle Joe shows up, which I think they both seemed really like, wouldn't say upset, but very like not put off. What would you say their emotion was when he showed up? Just kind of like, oh.
Yeah, I think they were just kind of in the moment and just having fun together and probably using that as like more of a flirtatious, like, let's figure this, like he's in his element. And I'm sure she wanted to like really experience like him and his element and what he does best and view his like capture his personality that way. And so I think it was kind of a bummer when the uncle came and was like, y'all are weird.
That captures it really well. I know we're going to talk about this a little bit more in the coachable moment, so I won't say too much more there. But there were a lot of moments here where Charity went into this planning to tell Joey that she was falling in love with him, and then based on what happened at their hometown, she didn't say that, and she left in tears, which I'm pretty sure she lied to Joey and said, "No, no, I'm just what did she say to him? Like overwhelmed or something? Or no,
Yeah.
they're happy tears," she said.
Yes, that's right. She did say that.
Yeah, I don't think they were happy tears. I think she
No,
heard a lot of things she didn't want to hear.
exactly.
Um, Next, we move on to Xavier, hometown in Cleveland, Ohio. They go to a knitting circle together. Oh, which was
Yes, that
so
was so
cute.
cute.
Just like everything about it, I was like, this is perfect. Um, which is actually wild to me because Charity has been expressing concerns about Xavier's commitment levels and she's not sure about him. But then you see them going into a knitting circle. I was like, what about this screams lack of commitment to you?
Right. Yeah, exactly. Especially like whenever she, had conversations with the family members, I thought it was a little bit um skewed from what he was saying a little bit, you
Yeah,
know?
I think so too.
I
Yeah,
don't
I'm
know. I
just
don't want to
really
reveal everything.
No, it's all good. I mean, I kind of his family seemed very supportive of the idea of him getting married
Yeah,
and very supportive
for
of
sure.
like him being in a place to do so. And so I really think this is all coming from Charity's previous relationship and any sort of overlap she's seeing there with Xavier. She's like putting that onto him.
For
I
sure.
wouldn't say unfairly, but I think we just all do it when we
Right.
see.
I think it's natural to kind of do that little comparison thing, but I mean, everybody is their own person. You have to kind of remember that,
Mhm.
that it's
Yeah.
not going to be the same experience.
Yeah. And I mean, at the end, he says he loves her. So, or he's
Yes,
falling in love with her. So if she
I
had like any doubts at this point,
yeah, I don't think so. I mean, I think he's great. I think like it kind of solidified any kind of questions there, whenever she went and talked to the family and they're like, he has been ready to find his person. He just gets heartbroken and, don't break his heart because he's really sweet and he's deserving. So I think that that really like for me, I would have skewed and been like, let's do this. Yeah, not skewed,
yes.
but turned my emotions into like, okay, this is really great. So I can see how she's falling in love with like everybody at the same time.
Totally. And I think what she got from Xavier's family is what she was secretly hoping to get from Joey's family and didn't. And so when you see those two like hometowns back to back with each other, you're like, oh, okay. See why she's a little disappointed there.
Yeah.
And then we have our final hometown with Dotton in Fresno, California. Oh man, what did you think of his
I
family?
I love them. I love his parents. I love his little mama. She's so cute and she's like just gifting her and and just embracing her and like for them to make a commitment to come down when they were already out of town. I just thought it was just so sweet and I love the drive-in.
I know they go to that drive-in and they see the
Yeah.
like pictures of each other growing up. And then what does Charity say at the end? Like, is there more? Like, I
Yeah.
bet she would have watched that on repeat for hours.
Yeah, for sure. I know. I like want to watch the rerun with my boyfriend and be like, you need to step it up. Like, I need a personal drive-in with all of our pictures in, please. Thank you.
I actually know of somebody who did that, and that's how he proposed. So I'm
That's
just
awesome.
saying it's not out of left field. It's not just The Bachelor where this happens. No, I have a little note here. Like, can they get engaged already? Like, I have made it known through every one of these episodes that I'm like, I love him. I think they're so good together. But
Yeah, I
let's
think
see
he's
what Charity
very
says.
like raw and like honest and caring, and I feel like he is really there for her and like to experience love instead of like winning a contest or beating people out or like having this little macho contest with people. You know,
Yes.
I think he's
Yeah.
always been very like just chill and out of the drama and just like very observant of all the people and being like, I got this. But
Yeah.
in
Like,
a not a cocky way, like in a
yeah.
humble way.
Very humble way. Yeah, like later it would be like, oh yeah, there were other people there. I didn't even notice. Like that's how I kind of get the sense of him. He's just like
Right.
not really that bothered at all by her dating anyone else. He's just like, yeah, this is just the way it is. It's like,
Right.
but you're right. It's not cocky or arrogant. It's just he's
He's
just
just
like
humble and just real and just, you know, is ready
yeah,
to do this. I don't know. I
he's
think
ready
so.
to
I love
go.
him. He's one of my favorites.
He's yeah, definitely. And I mean, at the end, they go to this rose ceremony at an airplane hangar, and I don't know. I turned to my husband and I was just like, if Don doesn't get a rose, I'm done. Like I'm done here. But of course, he gets the
Yeah,
first rose,
I
followed by
know.
Xavier, and then followed by Joey, and Aaron B goes home.
Yeah. Whenever she was giving them out, that's the exact order. I was like, this is the order of her people. Like she needs to, what I mean? I was like, this is exactly who she like what she needs to think. Like we're on the same page.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you like which ones would you pick for her, but that kind of says it all right there.
Yeah, for these last three guys, like Aaron is very sweet and he's very kind and he is very loving. It was a little turn off for me like in the beginning, when he was just like, "Hey, I'm just letting you know what's going on in the house and I'm here to protect you." And it's
Hmm.
like she I just feel like that's I don't know what it's really called, but it's like when somebody is trying to be like the innocent person and the not necessarily the victim, but the innocent person, but they're still the shit stirrer. Oh, I'm sorry, was I allowed to cuss?
Yeah,
Okay.
go on.
so, and so he's really kind of stirring the pot a little bit. And I don't know. I just feel like it's let the guys do the guy thing, let her experience things, and she's smart. She will figure things out. Does that make sense? That was my own little turn off.
It totally makes sense. There's always somebody every season, and I think that they're wanting to paint Aaron in like a nice enough light for future seasons. Either he'll go on to some of the spin-off shows or something, because usually when somebody does that, they make them out to be more of a villain.
Right.
Like they lean heavily into that, and they sort of did, but maybe because he did make the final four, they didn't like villainize him too much. But
Right.
yeah, I also agree with that. Yeah, I agreed with her picks 100%. I didn't know actually after the first one. I was like, well, maybe she'll keep Erin, but who is she gonna like send home since she seems
I
really on board with
I wish she
Joey?
would have had more time, more one-on-one time with the wrestler. I
Oh,
don't know why. I just found him interesting and I'm like, come on, girl, give him a chance. Like, just see what he's about. It was so funny. I don't know. Something about him.
I love that because I didn't expect you to say that at all. I was like, but he was a surprise. I thought he was gonna be so gimmicky, and I was like, oh, he's got a heart of gold over there.
Yeah, he sounded really sweet. So I was like,
Yeah,
yeah,
Caleb, his name was, I think. So,
that's right.
so shall we go into these coachable moments? We
Yeah,
have some juicy
absolutely. Let's
ones
hear
to
it.
talk about. Well, I think we were going to talk about first is you had some, we're going to just talk about like sending Aaron home when you still kind of have feelings for someone. They both had feelings for each other. And honestly, like, I think most of us are used to like one person breaking the other person's heart or having something that feels very complete. And that's why you're ending things, but they really didn't have that. And I was
Mhm.
just wanted to get your insights on like, this whole idea.
Yeah, like I mean, I think that breaking up with somebody when you have no reason to, it's 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 hard, especially in this show. Like that's what, because I remember at the very end when she like let him go, she was just like, it's there's nothing. It's just this is what it is. I don't know her exact quote, but she was very much being like, I just this is I have to pick
Mm.
somebody, I'm so sorry. And didn't really have a problem. But like when I'm thinking about this question, it's just like real dating in the real world. Like a lot of people circular date and they'll have like two or three
Okay,
people.
play, wait, pause.
Okay.
Please explain the concept of circular dating because I know that this is like something I've heard of in the past, but like what would be like the Wikipedia definition of circular
Okay.
dating?
Well, I know Patty Stanger, the millionaire matchmaker. Like I've always had this in my head. So she always says you should have a pair and a spare. So you should have two, like it's okay to like not put all your eggs in one basket and kind of see what's going on, like put some feelers out, right? So your pair are your two people that you want to go on dates every weekend, with, and you want to like get to know them more. And the spare is like, okay, they're busy, so I'm gonna go, I'm gonna say yes to the date with the spare. But I mean, there's nothing wrong with the spare, but and he's just not the one that's really trying to get in there. He's probably a very nice guy, but his personality isn't showing up to like, I'm not saying all men need to be aggressive like at all, but does that make sense though? Like the
I
number
think so.
one and
Yeah.
two are kind of really in her face. The number three is kind of just taking it easy. And you can't really compare yourself to somebody because you don't know. So he's just being himself. But so it's like number three kind of just gets like, it falls
Yeah.
off because one and two are great. Or number one could be like, okay, we're done. Red flag, figured this out. You're out of here. And then number three can move up. He gets promoted.
Right. He gets promoted to number one or number two
Right.
spot.
Yeah. So you just never
Yeah.
know. But so circular dating, it's like those number threes sometimes just get left behind and they're really nice and there's nothing wrong with them, but they're just not showing up. And I really think that that's kind of, what she said, like, I need more time with him. And sure,
Mm.
everybody needs more time to get to know somebody, we all do. But when you have like like a, not curfew, it's the show and you got to pick somebody,
It's
you just got to do
TikTok.
it.
You
Yeah.
just got to do it. I had heard of circular dating in the past a little bit differently. Again, I'm very like not familiar with the concept, haven't tried it. I thought it was interesting though, where it was like it was actually more official in the terms I had heard. It was
Okay.
like
It might be,
almost
but that was my
no, no, no. I think there's
representation of
multiple. No, no,
it.
no. I like both, but I was like this other way has stuck in my mind for years because I think it's fascinating. I don't know if you've heard of it. Like, it comes like a similar-ish term, but it was like 8 men, 8 women. Everybody dates each other for a certain length of time, and you don't
Okay.
break it off. You have to like keep an open heart to everybody until
Oh,
like the end of the time, and then you decide who to go forward with. And
oh, okay. I've
have
never
you
heard of
heard of
that.
that? I
Mm-mm.
don't remember where I heard of it, but I just remember being fascinated by it. So it's a similar concept to what you're talking about, where
Yeah.
you don't just have the one option. You kind of keep yourself open to multiples.
Right.
So
Yeah. And it doesn't necessarily mean you have to be like in this like really strong, compassionate relationship, but you're just getting to know people, and it's like, okay, this person doesn't display like who my ideal person is. So, they have some red flags. So we're just going to let him go and we're going to, just being open minded until you have that one person that's just like whisking you, like, sweeping you away and just like
yeah.
you're really excited to be around. So my boyfriend did not have that concept at all. He's like, I deserve your full attention. He's like, if you want to date other people while we're getting to know each other, that I'm not the right person for you. Like, I deserve 100% attention. I was like, okay, we can try. And it worked.
That's direct. I like it.
I,
um, why do you think Charity was so emotional letting Aaron go?
I think she did feel a vibe with him. Like she did mention a couple times, like, I imagine my kids coming over to, to their grandparents' house and hanging out and us doing family stuff. So I think that she did feel that like real close connection, like to his family. Um, but I think I mean, I honestly think she was crying just because maybe a little bit of overwhelm. Like, she's mentioned, like, am I taking the wrong, like, am I sending home
Mm,
the wrong people? So I think she has like maybe I don't know if it's like a perfectionism or something, but like, oh my God, I did something wrong. And it's like the wrong decision. It's like, it's just a decision. It's okay. And, if the person that picks you, like, or you pick at the end and y'all break up, you got Aaron, you can call him.
I was just gonna say that I've seen so many times on this show where you're like, oh, that person dated this person after, and this person and this. Like, it's
Yeah.
the
So
doors aren't
it's
closed.
like,
There's this, yeah,
I think she, just needed to make a choice.
yeah.
And I think she cried because, she felt that connection and just you got to make a decision, girl. Like it's the show's
You
got to
just
keep
gotta make a
going.
decision. I know. Well, and I think too is I do think that there's probably a certain level of needing to let go or whatever. But I mean, I do wonder how much of this is coming from of like, I worried I made a mistake, like you brought up, or like I'm worried I'm gonna regret this in the future. But I have to imagine that when she was evaluating, it was like, well, I mostly think about Dotton and Joey when, maybe a little bit of Xavier thrown in there, but Aaron is somebody I haven't thought about in a while. Like it probably just came down to like who's occupying like
Her
head and
space
heart
in her
space
head.
as much.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah.
Which is like kind of what I was saying with the circular dating. Like the first two people are like really in it, and she's
Mhm.
like, her mind is that's where her mind is. And he's the number three or the number four, technically, that, she just wanted it to work and it just didn't.
Yeah. And I think, or I wonder for her is maybe it would have felt better if she just had a reason, at least in her own mind, of why she was sending him home, even if she didn't say it out loud, like, well,
Right.
you're a bad kisser, whatever, or
Yeah,
we just didn't
for
vibe.
sure.
But I don't know. I think she just didn't have a decent thing to say and wanted to like have some way of completing it.
Yeah.
And it's just kind of incomplete. It was just like, you know what? It just didn't work out the way it did with other people. Maybe in the real world, if we were the only people dating each other, we would have
Right,
kept on.
exactly. Yeah. And I feel like she does. I think her crying is trying to show him empathy. Like, we just didn't work out, like
Hmm.
she's definitely showing empathy. She's definitely showing like that she is sad to have his loss or grieve his loss. But again, like there's other people there that are making her just her attention is a little bit more drawn. So
Yeah. If Charity was your client and she came to you with this situation, like what would you say to her?
oh, that's a good question. I don't know. I mean, I think I would just tell her like have your own back, decide like you've got these four guys, which one is like I don't believe in a checklist, but I do believe in like a loose checklist.
Mm.
You know what I mean? Like as far like and not necessarily like you have to be this tall and you have to have this education, but more of like in your feelings, like, does he make me happy? Do I feel comfortable? Like, do I see myself with his family? How is my demeanor? Does he care about my thoughts? Does he, like that real like core the values of like, is he supportive of my goals? Does he have goals? Like she said, I think about Xavier, like there's nothing sexier than like a driven man that has, that knows where he's going. And I mean, it's true.
Yeah.
So I think I would just tell her, like, you need to start making the little pros and cons list on who's, like who is fitting that and who you feel the most comfortable with. And have your own back and just trust your own decisions.
Yeah.
Like it's
Yeah.
just a decision. And, you have to like really be confident in like you got to remind yourself, I guess for her, particularly in the show, it's, you got to pick somebody, and
Just gotta go
so,
with it.
right,
Yeah.
you just have
Yeah.
to.
No, I mean,
But
and
in
that's
the
such good
real world,
advice though, is
yeah,
is
just
I think she
trust it.
just felt probably bad for him, bad that she met his family. And so it's just kind of like, of course, you're somebody who cares. Like, of course you're gonna feel this way. I think in the next episode they tease that somebody comes back. I'm sure it's Aaron, don't you think?
I hope it's not Brayden. Like,
Anybody but Brayden is our vote
yeah.
here, guys.
I hope it, I mean, I have confusing thoughts about him. Like I like it. I have a love-hate relationship with him. But I hope, I mean, I think if Aaron might be the person, like give you another chance.
I think so. I
Like, give
mean,
me that more time. Like, you said you
because her
wanted
heart's
time.
still, yeah, and I think her heart's still a little bit conflicted about it, so I could see that. We'll see. But yeah, I mean, I thought, I don't know. It's just it is interesting because usually at this part of hometown, there's like a couple, like at least one, if not two of them that are very clear, like, okay, that's the ultra spare here, to use your circular dating
Yeah,
here. Like that guy's very spare, or like she only brought him along because she was obligated contractually to have four at hometowns.
yeah.
And I didn't think that was necessarily the case here. And, yeah, lots
I
of
would have to
tears.
compare the other seasons and their hometowns to this one. But yeah, I mean, I honestly felt like she was really interested in them, like genuinely.
Yeah. It would have been like if she brought Tanner home. To
Oh,
Tanner's
yeah,
hometown from like just didn't know much about him, just was like, yeah, okay, you check some boxes. You don't seem awful, so therefore, so
right, right.
yeah, yeah.
Okay, that makes sense.
Um, well, so what did you think about if we're gonna move on to Joey?
Uh-huh.
Like, what did you think about? Because there's like she goes in this super excited. You can tell she's excited about everything. She probably has a lot of thoughts that this is going to go really well, just based on everything he said about his family. And then Uncle Joe shows up and he expresses both to Joey and to Charity, like, hey, do you think you're actually getting the real person? He's been such a pleaser in the past. And this throws Charity off. What did you think about this?
I I was a little surprised, I like her face was just what mine was too, because she was like, "What? Like he's not himself."
Like, who else would it
Like,
be?
yeah, exactly. But I feel like you have to just trust what's in front of you. Like, I don't know, like I understand that Uncle Joey has a long history with him and knows his people pleasing. I'm definitely a people pleaser too, so or a recovering people pleaser. So I get it, like trying to
Yeah.
be somebody that you're not. I think a lot of people tend to do that because they want to, fall in love and then they're so excited and then there's this person right here and they're like, they're great. So what do I need to do to make sure that they know that I'm great, too? And so like with with her, like I think she just needs to trust like that he is being authentic. I think if it's I mean, I understand it's a turn off. Like, what did I say in my notes? Like, I have a trust, like a minimum baseline of trust. And yes, you have to earn, the trust as it goes along. And I think that she needs to give it a little time, but I mean, she's kind of running out of time here, but
She's running out of time. Did you
right.
pick up on any like people pleasing tendencies with
Um,
Joey throughout the season?
No, I think he's just cute and fun and quirky. Like they're always making out. And so I think they have this like little like lustful like infatuation, like, oh yay, like we're bubbly and we're cute and we like to make out. So I don't really know like the depths of their conversations, like if it's been really like is it this just like love, cute family, like rom-com kind of love, or is it like for real, for real?
Yeah. Yeah. Because it one of the things I thought about too is somebody can like identify as a people pleaser, but they might be doing it around specific people. Like maybe Joey did that around Uncle Joe a lot. Uncle Joe seems to have a very strong personality.
Mhm.
May have,
That's true.
you know, and so I don't know. I think sometimes we have that like can self-identify as a people pleaser, but
Mhm.
is it with everyone? Not necessarily.
That's a really good point. And like you're right, he did have a very strong personality. So I could see, especially as guys, like not that I'm a guy expert or anything, but like where you want to have that like acceptance from that person that you look up to. Like he did say that he was like the most important person in his family life or whatever. And like I can see where you're like people pleasing that person so that you can show up as like a man or something in their eyes, or you know what I mean, like proud of, like he's looking for Uncle Joey to be proud of him. So I could see
Yeah.
that people pleasing.
Yeah, and maybe it's not as much with Charity, like, or maybe that side of him doesn't come out.
Right.
But
That
in
makes
any
sense.
case, what you're talking about before with, Charity trusting her gut or having her own minimum baseline, I think she's really faced with it here because now she's getting this conflicting information that she hasn't even thought of before,
Right. Exactly.
you
Like,
know?
why should she? That's definitely like a slap to the face when somebody's like, you know what? He's probably not himself. Like,
Like from the very people who, family, she's very close to her family. Like, in her opinion, family knows you best. I mean, obviously, that's not the same for every family in the world, but, in Charity's world, like, the people that you meet are probably going to have a, pretty good opinion of you. And they're just not really promoting Joey because it's not just Uncle Joe, it's the rest of Joey's family who's
right.
like, we're very protective. And it's like, wait a minute, why does he need protecting?
Yeah. And I thought like maybe, in his history of, breakups that like maybe he just gets like really, really down and very much like losing his self-worth. And, they probably are like, oh my God, don't get a girlfriend anymore because we're tired. It's like,
We
you
can't
know what I
we
mean?
can't
Because
boost
you
you
always
anymore.
have that one girlfriend that's always like super dramatic, and you're like, oh my God, can you please just stop dating these guys, please, so you can just like stop talking about the same things, So I'm sure like it's a lot, like it's really heavy on the family when he's really down. And so they're probably like, just please don't break his heart. Please don't, you know? So I
Yeah.
don't know.
But I don't know. I can see where Charity's come from feeling
Yeah.
doubtful when she thinks about like everything that went down because, it's they're almost painting this fragile picture of Joey. And she
Yeah.
had been kind of seeing him like, oh no, this is like a man that I want to marry.
Right. He's sensitive. He's kind. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. But I don't really know anybody that doesn't revert to like at least some version of their 14-year-old self when they're around family. So, I mean, they might be seeing like that version of him. I mean, Joey lives in Hawaii at this point. How often do they actually see him
That's
in
true.
his element as an adult? So, um, but yeah, I think, what you had kind of had said about Erin, same in the Joey situation. Like, she's got to, like, this is where she's got to like draw from her depths of trust in herself
Right.
and
Yeah.
have her own back.
Exactly. Like I think that she needs to decide like what's more important, like trusting my own like intuition and like myself and what I want, or like listening to these people. Like and like you said, do they know him now? How often do they see him? Like, like has he changed? People change. People, mature. People like make different decisions in their life and, for the better. So I mean, we don't know all that information,
No.
so she's got to just either like she's just got to figure out how to trust her gut on that. Like, is she going to go with her own intuition and how she feels about him right now without those sentences that just came into her head, or if she wants to go off of that?
Yeah, it is. It was interesting because she had, gone into this. I'm going to tell him I'm falling in love with him. She's not saying that about any of the other men that she
I
went to
know. I
hometowns
was
with, not even
surprised.
Dotton. And that piece of information sways her from actually saying the words. So I'm just like, I wonder if that also kind of cracks her trust in herself too, because it's like, wow, I was so sure before and now I'm not as
I'm
sure.
so wrong. Yeah, that's true. That could be like, I can see that. Like, I can see like when Joey was like, everything was going great. I thought it was such a great night. And, she left crying and she says her happy tears. Like, I can see his confusion. And I'm sure when he watches this, he's going to be like, thanks, family.
I thought the same. I thought the same. He's going to
Like,
be like,
y'all are a
who
bunch
are
of
you people?
jerks.
Ah,
Like,
right. That's kind of what I
yeah.
thought too. But it does show like how in tune he is to Charity emotionally, that when she
Yeah.
said happy tears, he's like, I'm not buying that BS. Like,
Right.
no, those are
Yeah.
not
I
happy
know he knows
tears.
that there's something wrong. And, you know, I don't know if he has time to like have that conversation and redirect it. And you know what I mean? She definitely has to have like a very good sit down conversation and get real with him real quick if she's considering him in the next episode.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what next week brings because of how she's feeling going into this. And then you really saw like that experience impact her time with Dotton, because that's one of the questions she asked is like, do you think I'm getting the real guy? And Dotton's family was just like, where did this question come from? Kind of. They're
Right.
just like, yeah, of course you are. Like, you've never
Right.
been anything but himself. And so um I wonder if that did more to build her trust in Dotton just because his family was just like, Psh, no,
Yeah.
like. this you're getting the man that we all see too.
Right. And I think that that tells a lot, even like with Joey, like for her to ask that question, they're like, well, that's a dumb question. Of course, he's fantastic. Like, like
Yeah.
he is what he is at home and with you. And, he's happy and he's great, and then to compare that to Joey's family where they're like, he's, like,
Yeah,
he
he's not
might not be
actually quite a
himself. We
catch.
don't know.
He needs
Right.
some
Yeah.
he needs some time to grow up kind of thing.
Right.
Well, and I think this type of situation is interesting too because it's like how can you not compare each person to another?
Hmm.
And it's
Yeah.
like you're constantly comparing to your ex-boyfriend because I mean, she's been talking about her ex-boyfriend this whole season too. And so it's basically like we have these four men and then also my ex and I don't know,
Yeah.
just navigating that space, it makes it hard for you to be truly present with the person in front of you, I
Right.
think.
Yeah.
If you're like constantly like weighing them out against each other and you have the added pressure of a proposal in like 2, 3 weeks from
Yeah.
now.
I know. I think that is so weird. Like it's because she talks about it a lot. I understand that this is the goal of the show is to be proposed to, but I feel like that puts a lot of pressure. Like, why can't they just date? Like, like
I
Brayden said
know.
it pretty much. Like, again, love hate with him, but he's like, look, I don't know if I'm ready to get down on one knee, but if I'm, the person that you choose, I'd love to date you. Like,
Yeah. Yeah, I'll give you my
like I
number.
want the possibility of marriage, but I'm not sure I'm ready to like hand you this ring and like be excited about it. And I can't hate him for that. I can't. And I think
Brayden?
Xavier
No.
kind of mentioned the same thing to her. Like that he was just scared, but he's, wants to get to know her, but is the actual ring part. I feel like that's a lot
Yeah.
of pressure.
It's a lot of pressure. And it's almost like you would rather have somebody be like, I want to get to the point where I am like secure in dating you after this
Yes.
because you get the flip side of it where somebody's like, yeah, I'm ready to be married. It's like, is it just the next woman that comes along that you want to fill the spot with or man if you're watching, The
Right.
Bachelorette? Or is it me? Like, is it me that you want? And
Right.
I think you find out pretty quickly after the show ends whether or not they do have that true connection because so many of them break up after the fact.
Right. I mean, I could definitely understand that. Like, I mean, that's the thing. It's like, an engagement again, like it's a lot of pressure, but it's you're not married yet. It's not permanent.
Yeah.
So,
I do think
and
that's hard. Yeah, like I got married later in life and I know that like a lot of the women that I coach who are a little bit like, 38 to 42, it's like there's like almost if it wasn't, the show obviously adds pressure, but I think we can add pressure on ourselves too. It's just like, okay, wait a minute, TikTok, we're getting to this point and I'm sure, this comes up with your clients as
oh yeah.
well of like just like, whoa, how do we release the pressure? And I think it can be a choice even on a show like this to think about it a little bit differently, even if there's this external expectation that a certain thing's going to happen.
Yeah, I think I agree. And I am that kind of client. I was that kind of client. Like I dated from like 27 to 37 and like after I hit 30 and I was like this is crazy. I'm supposed to be married already. Like, I didn't really enjoy all the like awesome milestones that I had, like buying a house by myself and getting like enjoying my career and all this stuff. Cause it was like, well, nothing matters because I don't have a man, and I was like, come on, like, this is not true. So it took
Right.
some time to like really be proud of everything that I have accomplished and alone and learn that the partner that I want is somebody that's going to like compliment me and be the cherry on top and not be the person that completes me. Like I'm trying to tell people like you are already complete. Like stop trying to like I hate the phrase like oh you complete me. No.
I know.
That's like not my favorite phrase at all.
No. No, and I mean that's what they're trying to promote on shows like this of like I'm looking for my other half. I'm looking for the person
Right.
to complete me. So it's like not only are we worried about this proposal, but now you're worried about like not being this complete human and you're looking for somebody to fill it in.
Right.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And to your point from before, it is almost like Charity wishes she could smash all four of these men together and like, oh, I'll like let's create one human from all of you. I like many aspects of all of you, and
Right.
obviously that's impossible.
Exactly. Poor
Oh,
thing. But yeah, so I think just it's gonna be okay. She's gonna make the decision that serves her the most. for
She
right now.
will. She will. And, I mean, one of the things where you can just kind of tell, it's almost like her stressometer. Like if you were to see like a gauge, it was like pretty chill at first. And now we're getting into like the red zone where it's like, okay, I am full blown overwhelmed,
Yeah.
like fetal on the floor. I don't know how I'm going to make decisions. Like you kind of get that sense that we're like edging towards that part.
Right. Yeah. How do you feel like about how is your like what are your thoughts about that whole proposal thing at the end? Eh, like
Yeah.
just the whole
I've, s-
concept.
I mean, I wouldn't say it doesn't work
Hmm.
for some people. But historically, I mean, they're trying to make good TV first and foremost. And I think it is a gimmick for TV because if they're just like, hey, you're going to be in a room with 20 guys and at the end of it, you're going to find somebody to be like boyfriend, girlfriend with, doesn't sell. And like they wouldn't be on for this many seasons
For
otherwise.
sure. Totally
Um,
agree.
but does the lead have to think about it that way? I mean, I don't know if they all have. I think some of them keep it in their back pocket, like, yeah, we're getting engaged.
That's what
We're
I was
not
thinking.
moving
I'd be like,
in.
listen, we don't have to get engaged. Just, you know, like it's gonna be okay.
Yeah,
I'll still say yes for TV, but like I get it.
totally. Totally. And like next week when they have fantasy suites, most people report after the fact that like, yeah, we didn't like bang the whole time. We like actually sat down and talked about like our futures together and talked about what we wanted. And I suspect behind those closed doors, people talk about like, okay, listen, like
Mhm.
I know this is pretty fast and, fast in terms of collectively they've probably spent, 10 hours together at that point
Mhm.
of like
Right.
we recognize that we might need a 1 to 3 year engagement after this,
Exactly. Yes.
and that's okay, but they won't publicly admit that.
Right. And I was thinking that too. I'm like, well, she can say yes and pick the person that she wants to be engaged to, but it's not like they have to get married in the next week. Like it could just be a
No,
long engagement. And so they can actually learn how to date, like
right,
and get to know each other and like just feel what it is in the real world. And like also I'm like, do I want to move to Hawaii or do I want to move to Houston?
right,
Or are you moving to me? Yeah,
right.
like
That, all of that, right. They've never even text messaged each other. Like
right.
let's exchange some messages first and see how
Yeah,
that goes and hang
for
out with each
sure.
other's friends and family in real life. So I don't know, like it's hard not to get sucked into it a little bit, but at the same time, I think it's almost if she can take a step back and realize, you know what, I have options here. I'm getting in quote proposed. I know there's this common idea like, oh, but I only want to do this once in life. Well, you signed up for this show, so
Right.
maybe this is like proposal in quotes, like, oh, I only want to have one TV proposal in my
Right.
life. We could
Yeah.
have others off the
Right.
screen.
It's that exactly. It'll be okay.
Yeah, yeah. Was there anything else on your mind as you watch this? I love that you're seeing this all for the first time with fresh eyes.
Yeah. No, I mean, I really just thought it was weird. I'm like, I cannot be on a show that's like that. I'm gonna be like if I was on a Bachelorette or wait, yeah, like if I was on the Bachelor, I guess. I'm like, I can't make out with you if I'm number 20. I can't. Like just like
Right.
pick me on a solo date and we'll talk about it, but I can't be sloppy 20 if
Sloppy 20.
no. And so, but good for everybody who can. And that means there's no judgment on anybody in the show at all. Like there's no judgment on her. I get it, it's a show, but like in the background in the real world, I don't know if I could handle that.
I know. I know. I think I would just be like, also, like, the whole process of filming seems like it would be so boring to me. Like, go sit on this couch. We're not going to give you anything to entertain yourself with. Like, I think after a while, I'd just be like, I'm bored. I'm going.
Yeah, it was funny because like you were saying about the Airbnb houses, like how they're all,
Yeah.
Airbnb houses. I was like, how come everybody's house has a bench in front of their house? I was like, I don't know anybody who has a bench. It's like, I know y'all put that there.
They totally put that there. It's the love bench. It's where they
Right.
like make up, break up, make out, all the things.
So
Of
funny.
course. So funny. Um, I could go on and on, but I feel like we've captured it for this hometown experience.
For sure.
Um, so who is the person that if she said yes to, you'd be delighted with?
I would love Dotton.
Mm. Same.
Dalton and Xavier, like, is that's
Yeah.
my two. I love Joey too, but I think that there's a lot more depth that needs to be there in
Mhm.
this amount of time. And I think she has that depth with both of them, but I like Dalton.
I like
Like,
to do.
yeah, he won my heart with the drive-through or the drive-in.
Oh, so many moments. Yeah, the drive. Come on. That's great.
Yeah,
Well, Christina, thank you for coming on today. If somebody wanted to find you out there in the world, where would they go looking?
I am at the curvygirldatingcoach.com and all of my social medias, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, is also the Curvy Girl Dating Coach. Um, and if you are looking to freshen up your online dating profile, you can go to my social media and get on my bio and download. I have a Curvy Girl Dating checklist. So, yeah, like you can do that checklist, and I'm happy to review it for you if you want. So,
Yay. I'll have that in the show notes too, so you don't have to
yeah.
look far to go find it. Well, thank you again, Christina, for coming on. I wish I had had you when I was back in the dating world. So,
Thank you so much for inviting me. This is so much fun. I'm excited to see the rest of the show.
yeah, I know, right? We'll see what happens. All right. Well, thanks everybody, and we'll talk next time.